Hey, welcome to The Explainer. This is where we take big, sometimes complicated topics and break them down into something you can really get your head around. Listen to this. It was a pain in my solar plexus and a feeling of complete emptiness. That's all I ever felt. Wow, that's a quote from a research study, and it just captures this feeling of deep, deep distress that honestly a lot of us can probably relate to at some point. So, what happens when our emotions completely take over? You know that feeling? Like you're just caught in this massive internal storm and you have no idea which way is up. Well, today we're going to dive into that. We're going to try to understand these powerful states and, more importantly, figure out how we can learn to navigate them. All right, so first things first, let's map out the terrain. What are we even talking about when we use a term like emotional regulation? Okay, emotional regulation. Now, you might hear control and think it means just shutting your feelings down, right? But that's not it at all. It's more like skillfully steering a ship. It's not about ignoring the waves, it's about learning how to ride them. It's this super critical skill that helps you handle all the ups and downs life throws at you, letting you have some say in what you feel and how you react. And on the flip side of that, you have emotional dysregulation. And that's when the skill isn't quite there yet. It can seriously feel like your emotions have hijacked the car and you're just along for the ride. You get these really intense, super fast shifts. 1 minute you're calm, the next you're furious or incredibly sad. And that can really mess with your life, your work, your relationships, everything. So this really gets to the heart of it. How do we deal with our feelings? And the research shows two totally different ways to go. You've got suppression, basically ignoring a feeling, bottling it up. And that's pretty consistently linked to, well, not so great outcomes. Because that emotion, it usually just comes back, but bigger. Then there's reappraisal. And this is the interesting one. It's about changing how you think about what's happening. It's about working with your emotions, not against them. Okay, but all this theory, it only gets us so far, right? To really get this, we need to hear from people who've actually been in the eye of that emotional storm. So there's this type of research called phenomenological research. All that means is it studies people's firsthand, subjective experiences. And what it's found is pretty profound. For a lot of people, emotional pain isn't just in their heads. It becomes a real, physical thing. They call it embodied distress. And when you listen to people in these studies, wow, the way they describe it is so visceral. They talk about a heavy heart or this sick, dead feeling right in their stomach, or just a constant ache that's just there. It has no clear physical cause, but it is absolutely real. And inside your head, oh man, it can be just as intense, just as confining. A really common theme researchers found was this feeling of being trapped in your head, just stuck in this world of nonstop worry, self-criticism, these intrusive thoughts that you just can't seem to turn off. Just listen to this quote. When I would socially interact, I'd spend ages scrutinizing it and just loathed it. Ugh, that just perfectly captures that brutal internal critic, doesn't it? And that kind of turmoil, it doesn't stay locked away. It makes you want to pull away from people, which just creates this really painful sense of being all alone, right when you need support the most. And when this goes on for a long time, it can shake the very foundation of who you are. People described a real crisis of identity, like they'd completely lost touch with themselves. They'd find themselves asking, who even am I anymore? And what you're seeing here is a little peek behind the curtain of the research itself. This is how they do it. They take all these personal stories, these first-person accounts, and they carefully analyze them, looking for common threads. They turn individual pain into shared themes that, honestly, help all of us understand the human condition a little bit better. Okay, I know hearing those stories can be heavy, but they're so important because they give us the why. Why do we need to learn these skills? So now that we have a much deeper sense of the experience, let's start building our emotional toolkit. What can we actually do when we're in the middle of that storm? And here's the really good news. Emotional regulation isn't something you're just born with or not. No way. It is a set of skills that anyone can learn. And it can start with something super simple, just pausing, taking a breath before you react, then tuning into your body. Where are you feeling this? Then you give it a name. Is this anger? Is it disappointment? Just naming it can give you a little distance, a little power over it. And then you try to accept it, to just let it be there for a second, without judging yourself for feeling it. And finally, you can use mindfulness to bring yourself back to right here, right now, instead of getting swept away. All right, so building on those core skills, here are 7 really healthy strategies you can start using. Think of yourself as a detective of your own inner world. You start looking for your triggers. You check in with your body. Hey, am I just hangry or really tired? You start to challenge the story your brain is automatically telling you about a situation. And from there, you can actually choose a different path. You can use positive self-talk, make a conscious choice about how to respond, and even actively scan your world for positive things to help balance things out. And, a huge strategy is knowing when to ask for help, when to talk to a therapist who can guide you.
But what's actually going on inside our brains when our moods swing so wildly? Let's take a quick peek at the biology.
So, a huge part of our mood is influenced by these brain chemicals called neurotransmitters. You can think of them like tiny messengers running around regulating how we feel. And when the key messengers get out of balance, things can get pretty bumpy. You've probably heard of serotonin, right? It's often linked to well-being. Then there's dopamine, which is all about motivation and pleasure, and norepinephrine. That's tied to our alertness and our fight or flight system. If any of these are off kilter, it can have a major impact on our emotional state.
Okay, now this is where things get really interesting. There's a ton of research coming out now showing how much our nutrition can play a role here. Specifically, there's this group of powerful compounds you find in plants called flavonoids, and it looks like they can actually help support our mental health by helping to balance out these very same brain chemicals. And the best part is how easy it is to find these things. We're talking about foods a lot of us already love, like berries, apples, green tea, and yeah, even dark chocolate. They are just packed with these flavonoids. It's a great reminder that even simple choices about what we eat can give our brains the raw materials they need for better emotional balance.
So here we are. We've mapped the terrain, we've heard the stories, we've started building our toolkit. So where do we go from here? What's the big picture?
If there's one thing to take away from all this, it's a shift in how we see our emotions. They are not the enemy. Even the really painful ones, they aren't something to be defeated. They're signals. They're messengers that are trying to tell us something important about what we need, what we value, what's going on in our lives. And that journey, the one where you learn to listen to those signals, that is the path to resilience. By building up that emotional toolkit, we're empowering ourselves to handle whatever life throws at us, not just with more control, but with so much more strength, self-awareness, and, compassion for ourselves and for other people too. So we'll leave you with this question to think about. The next time a really tough feeling comes up, what if, just for a second, you didn't fight it? What if, instead of trying to shove it away, you just got a little curious? What if you asked it, hey, what are you trying to tell me?